This is the renowned, world-known health educator. He's co-founder of the Hippocrates Health Institute. He is a fantastic speaker. We have him to thank for our digestive enzymes, for our Spectrobiotic. He was instrumental in bringing those products to this company. He's been eating blue-green algae for over 25 years and traveling the world educating people on the benefits of our amazing products. So please welcome Viktoras Kulvinskas.
To be here, to be part of this company is a great adventure, not only for yourself, by way of health, by way of discovery of happiness, as well as spiritual life. It's a powerful place to be, and to share this knowledge, the algae knowledge, the enzyme knowledge, the bacteria knowledge, the knowledge of the microorganisms, which are the most powerful force on planet Earth. Over 80% of the biomass is invisible, and they are the ones that are orchestrating. They decide what's going to happen next. 1918, a major wipeout, epidemic plague, lost 40% of our population. Microbes. We had the Blake Plague, microbes. Well, we got the good guys on our team. Just keep smiling. That empowers your immune system. Many years ago, I was less fortunate, but actually I was blessed with tons of disease. Many years ago, when I was much older than I am right now, I saw the future, and at the same time, I made a commitment. I knew nothing, but that was a good place to start, because at least I acknowledged ignorance is bliss. And I started with that. My face was covered with track marks of pimples and acne already, receding hairline, thinning hair, arthritis, bulimia, addictions of all sorts. I even had the arc of senility registered in my iris. My iris was black and gray. Now it's blue. A lot of changes took place. It's the enzyme wash. Internally, aren't we finding it at the department stores, the environmentally safe Drano? What is it made of? Bacteria and enzymes. Now, I don't suggest going out for the bargain basement purchases. I think Simplexity got something much more attuned to the human body. But what it does, it cleans out the plumbings of your household. You pour it down, and all of a sudden, all that protein globules, all that greasy stuff you've been preparing for breakfast, lunch, and supper, that's what's clogging up the plumbing. Don't you think it might be doing something similar internally? Well, you poured some of that environmentally safe Drano, everything is gone. Well, you can do the same thing internally. I started my adventure by joining the Flower Children. I was in a successful career in the computer industry, dropped out at 29, and I thought there was something more to life than being entrapped in cubicles, though I loved the adventure of the pioneering in the computer industry as well as theoretical mathematics. Those were blissful experiences, enjoyable past years, but once you lose the passion, you got to move on, find out what's next. That's the way all life should be. Take risks. Be every day in a state of unfolding adventure. Surprise, surprise, spontaneity. Well, I didn't know what was going to happen next, but what an adventure. 40 years of holistic adventure. And one of the great contacts was after connecting with Ann Wigmore, and we started the Hippocrates Health Institute, became an enzymatic capital of the world because no one else was doing enzymatic nutrition. We were pioneering. And that all had its origin with 2,000-year history of the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Essene relics that I was able to connect with Professor Edmond Sukeli, who transcribed the ancient manuscripts. And I took that to heart, and we moved it into our institute. But what happened, as I was lecturing, I knew very little, and I started frequenting the libraries, and I became a constant, continuous membership at the Harvard Medical Library, 2, 4, 6, 10 hours a day, excavating the intellectual property. Didn't have Google in those days. It had to be manually operated, everything. But I kept persisting, and I found, among other things, was the ancient manuscripts. 1939 was the year of my birth and the birth of the manuscripts of Dr. Edward Howell, entitled Food Enzymes in Metabolism and Digestion. I devoured the manuscript. They had 500 medical journal references. I tracked him down. I knew this was the focal point of my life, to bring this greatness to the world. I tracked him down. He gave me permission to co-author his book, which we called it Food Enzymes for Health and Longevity. It was the first scientific book in enzymology, in plant-based enzymology. Prior to that, there was work being done with pancreatic enzymes, and if you open up those pancreatic enzymes, you feel like you stepped into a morgue. It is so, you want to close that bottle and put it aside, but it had poor sanitation, as one would say. And the papaya enzymes didn't do anything. I mean, they're good for tanning leather and also anti-inflammatory effects. They're very helpful in those kind of areas, but not exactly digestive aids. They don't function at the right pH or the right temperature environment. Neither did the papaya. Plant-based enzymology started with Dr. Howell. He had that little bottle that no one else but me found it on the shelves. I mean, he would manufacture like 1,000 of those bottles a year, I think. That's how great was the sales. So I created the book, and then I joined the company, National Enzyme Company, worked with them. I took from 6 employees within a matter of, let's say, 4 years. And the key rise of the enzymology fields was Celtic, which became Simplexity, to over 100 employees to try to address the enzymatic needs of Simplexity at that time. Since then, many other labs appeared, and we have worked with many other associates in the enzymology field. But what is so exciting about enzymes? What is enzymes? They're basically plant-based enzymes. Everything alive is orchestrated by enzymatic activity. It's a symphony. Life is, if you think 10 events happening at the same time is a major achievement. Multitasking is the expression. Many of us feel proud. I could do 3 things, do MLM at the same time, type away, and watch a TV program, and blah, blah, blah. But can you imagine? That's 10 with 1 with 0. What if you added 2 zeros? That's 100. What if you added 3 zeros? That's 1,000. What if you added 26 zeros? That's a big number. That's how many chemical reactions are taking place inside of your body every second. Every second. That's multitasking, huh? Serious. And it's all enzymatically orchestrated. They can pull off as many as 2 billion reactions per second, some of the enzymes. They are on go. And your body needs enzymes. All life forms need enzymes. The outstanding feature is that we as humans are the only ones that drifted away due to a long history of multi-ice ages that occurred on the planet Earth and many other kind of earth change events that led us to relying on fire and cooking whatever we could find. But however, our wisdom and knowledge has returned once again. The value of disease-free wild world where only alkaline enzymatic nutrition exists and there is no disease, there's no cancer, there's no heart disorders. Just like the Eskimos who ate a diet we would have thought my God, if anybody's going to have heart disease, they should. I mean, they were consuming some days as much as 5 pounds of blubber in a single day. Fat. Tasty, yummy, yummy fat from all kind of animals that they slaughtered. Well, there was no sprouts there growing, no plants, so they had to eat whatever was available. It's like who's eating who. That's the name of the game in the wilderness. And there was no disease. They lived into their 90s. They still had their black hair, and they died of acidosis due to the acidic nature of animal-based protein without adequate hydration, adequate alkalizing from the raw plant-based dietary intake. However, there was no disease, no medicine, medical doctors, and then came civilization and brought their stoves, brought their technology, and showed some of these dummy Laplanders and Eskimos how to eat properly, as well as taught them new religions and stuff like that. These guys were happy campers prior to the coming of civilization, and within one generation, the longevity dropped by over 50%. Now, those who adapted the Western habits, for the first time, heart disease death, cancer death, rheumatism, and all kind of acid pain-related disorders appeared from happy campers to miserable individuals. That's what happens when you destroy the enzymatic composition. Dr. Spengler of Institute of Traumatology showed there's an inverse relationship between consumption of heat-treated protein and longevity. Now, what is going on in relationship to heat-treated protein is so phenomenal. If you go to May 23rd, 2002, Science section of New York Times, read the research that came out of the Harvard Medical Library, out of the Harvard Medical School by the head of Harvard Medical School. They made major breakthroughs in evaluating of the blood profile due to increased capacity of the microscopes. And what they have found that everybody on the SAD, no smile diet, standard American diet, had saturated their body. This was 2-page spread with what they call twisted protein. Now, what the hell is twisted protein? I mean, pretzeled around. They were not what you find in a raw state. It could have been the microwave oven, or even the overall cooking, which I document by cooking the protein at ovens at 300 degrees plus. You lose over 85% of the proteolytic, and you lose over 85% of the protein. Your enzymes are not able to identify them or break them down into amino acids, which your body could utilize. Now, what was so interesting is they said it is causing an inflammatory condition systemically 24/7 in the body, and it is probably, they didn't want to make 100% committee. They said probably all diseases, degenerative diseases, are caused by these twisted protein. Well, sure enough, Dr. Gerson, who was the first pioneer in the field of enzymatic therapies for cancer, in his book, 50 Cases of Cancer, he states, every form of cancer is preceded by pancreatic breakdown, namely enzymatic exhaustion. The pancreas is not producing enough enzymes. So what's happening? In completely metabolized protein fragments, these twisted proteins are getting through first the gastrointestinal barrier due to leaky gut syndrome and other kind of lesions that develop along the gastrointestinal tract. It's causing trafficking, flooding of your bloodstream and the whole interior intracellular fluid system within completely metabolized protein. And what these proteins are doing is interfering with oxygen transport. Amino acid overload, you can handle all of it, because it'll be absorbed successfully by your normal reproductive cells. But when you got high volume of incompletely metabolized protein, Dr. John Gaynor showed it reduced the oxygen transport in Science News 1972 by over 60%. You can't live with oxygen depletion right at that level. As a result, all your metabolic activities, every little of those 10 with 26 reactions are oxygen driven. Oxygen driven. You're not getting enough oxygen. So as a result, you're not a great athlete like Dan O'Brien, who's primed up on enzymatic nutrition. And through enzymatic supplementation, what wonders it can create just merely supplementing. Can you imagine what wonders one might be creating also doing all enzymatic nutrition, but just supplementing makes such a difference. And then taking in foods like blue-green algae, which loads you up with high chlorophyll content, 5 times more than wheatgrass, which is very famous for its chlorophyll content. And that leads to taking you out of anemic state with a high volume of red blood cell production and able to transport. The enzymes clean up your bloodstream so that red blood cells are not clumping like the previous doctors yesterday talked about, where they're stuck. It enables them to go to extremities, to the muscles, to the brain, so your brain is functioning optimally, like our research has shown with children, with adults, including myself. It makes such a radical difference. So oxygen is interfering, transport is interfered by the sludge of lack of enzymes, because as long as you have enough enzyme volume, your body is able to keep internal sanitation intact. Namely, the whole struggle when you are consuming cooked enzymeless food is a struggle in the management of the incompletely metabolized macromolecules of starch, fat, and protein, what the body's going to do with it. And excess fat, we all have seen what is going on in America. The biggie people. I worked with them. I hated fat people. And as a result, God put me in a place where I had to learn to love them. And I did. I worked with 1,000-pound individuals with Dick Gregory's morbid obesity design products for the project, where we were seeing loss of, well, for women 1 pound, for men over 2 pounds per day. We were on 2020. The excess incompletely metabolized fat piles up. The incompletely metabolized starches piles up in your liver, in your gallbladder, throughout your blood vessels. All you have to do is eat a loaf of bread and take no enzymes, and next day fast and collect your urine. You'll find half of the bottle will be filled with white starch. That is what's circulating. Dr. Sumner of one of the Institute of Traumatology, Enzymology states that by the time you hit mid-age, your amylase, the starch-splitting enzyme, you lost over 95% of it. As a result, it's not digesting, and it leads to the plague and epidemics of incompletely metabolized starches souring, especially when they're combined with red sauce. I'm talking about pasta, spaghetti, pizza, with all those red sauces, incompletely to metabolize. Out of basic chemistry class, we know that starch metabolizes only in an alkaline environment. You're pouring all this acid stuff on it. So it's turning acid. It's not due to excess hydrochloric acid. It's due to starch souring. And now you need Tums, Rolaids, Alka-Seltzer, all these kind of remedies that don't do anything outside of potentially causing you having a stroke of deep level of alkalosis and relaxation. Dangerous. Might think they're kind of safe, but that's the game. When you exhaust your amylase, when you exhaust your lipase, fat-splitting enzyme, Dr. Guitan showed anybody that has difficulty in management of their weight from University Tufts Medical School, they're deficient in lipase, the fat-splitting enzyme. And when you are deficient in protease, protein-splitting enzymes, well, here's the most interesting place. You're going right in the direction of cancer, cardiovascular diseases. I document all this in my bestseller book of Survival in the 21st Century And it is dealing with survival issues, because if you don't know how to handle survival, you're going to be statistics of heart disease, cancer disease. But here we go. Proteolytic enzymes, what do? Well, they dissolve these circulatory proteins in your bloodstream when they're taken in between meals and lead to empowerment of your immune system. Dr. Leskovar published his results in medical journals, showed that within 20 minutes after orally administered enzymes in between meals, your natural killer activity, cell activity, increases by 1,100%, macrophages by 700%. You empower your immune system. Now talk to any doctor, and what will they say? If we could only find a way to jumpstart the immune system, if we could only somehow jumpstart the immune system, we could cure all diseases. Well, guess what? Enzymes are jumpstarting your immune system. What a booster shot. And what they do is now they empower the immune to clean up the internal garbage that is circulating. Macrophages means big eaters. They gobble up all these dead cells. The natural killer cells tag, and they know what doesn't belong inside the body. All of a sudden, cleaning up that internal environment, that twisted protein environment. And now normal oxygen transport can take place. And when you don't get enough oxygen in your system, guess what? The Nobel Prize winner in 1936, Dr. Otto Warburger, he won Nobel Prize twice. He's no dummy. The ultimate cause of cancer. He took normal reproductive cells of your body, put it on a petri dish, put it in a glass dome, insulated, and proceeded to withdraw oxygen from the environment. And when it was reduced by as little as 30%, within 24 hours, the cells started dying off, and within 48 hours, the living ones had mutated to cancer cells. Now, God, what a connection. That's the ultimate mechanism. Now, why the body would do that? Is the body just creates cancer cells for the hell of it? No, it's part of a survival mechanism, because what it do is Dr. LePage, Dr. Mittler, all kind of researchers, they refer to cancer cells as protein dumps. They're like little vacuum cleaners running around your body or little golf carts, collecting the circulatory garbage protein to get it out of the system and localize it so normal oxygen can take place. It's a mechanism no different than the white blood cells. Matter of fact, the cancer cells are part of your immune system, function in the following way. For instance, normally we thought white blood cells were good. It fights viruses. That's our defense system, and if we get an infection, our white blood cell level increases. Dr. Kauchakov showed with enzymatic nutrition, there is no increase in white blood cell. It's called post-meal leukocytosis. Now, it's a natural, normal phenomenon, and if you don't eat until, for another 3-4 hours, the white blood cell level goes back to normal. But if you're consuming snacks throughout the day, it just keeps on going up and up. Guess why we have such an epidemic of leukemia? Well, what is leukemia? Exaggerated volume of white blood cells. Guess what? You talk to any oncologist, and I have many of them who are friends of mine, one thing is clear. Every one of you, everyone in the world has cancer cells. Just like everyone in the world has white blood cells. Cancer cells, and you're hearing it probably from the first time because I'm the discoverer of this phenomenon. Cancer cells are part of your natural immune system function that is a normal system. And their level keeps increasing as you keep insulting the body through enzymeless nutrition. Because they keep doing their job, but the problem runs into, eventually, body stops running out of space for building these cancer cells. So they interfere with other normal biological functions. So instead of dying immediately from asphyxiation due to inadequate oxygen, you were given a life extension, maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years, 15 years, 20 years of lifestyle abuse so you could continue to enjoy your favorite addictions. So isn't it wonderful? 3 cheers for cancer. Invention by God. It's helping you. Now, once you make some radical lifestyle change, or even get into enzymology. I have used probably 50 to 100 times recommended dosages on a daily basis for years. I have been consuming enzymes for a long time, for close to, since I discovered the works of Dr. Howell and ended up being involved in the industry. Because to add a little more historical data, with the Celtec's introduction of Plumtex enzymes, which was the history of Simplexity, everyone else in the industry copied us. And we became, you know, the leader of cutting-edge nutrition. Not only blue-green algae and the green food revolution, we were the first. We were also the first with combining like Acidophilus bifidus and other kind of bacteria through Dr. Shahani and myself, bringing that spectrobiotics, which became the rage, and now you got 20 different microbes being put into. Before that, no one dared to do it. They said they'll cannibalize one another. How silly. We pioneered. I mean, this company is the making not only of greatness, but it attracted great individuals. Just take a look historically. And one of the great leaders I wish to acknowledge, and a good friend who has made a transition, he decided he had enough of life on planet Earth, was my brother and great friend, not only Dr. Shahani, but also Swami Shoshami. He was a great leader, visionary, and under his duress, he brought in so many of the individuals like myself who found a home and a family that I can feel proud of. So this is what you have historically, and we attracted some of the great athletes. We also attracted and created such unbelievable, miraculous, for the first time, true impact of the value of whole food enzymatic supplementation and the results that are possible. It's very powerful food. Look at Dan O'Brien. My God, gold, beating men 10 years younger than him. We have something, a gift to the world and something to be proud of. So enzymes with meals will prevent post-meal leukocytosis and will assume that you're going to digest well the whole meal. If you're eating more of the undesirable foods, eat more enzymes. Try to minimize dietary orientation on your consumption of pasteurized dairy products. Get raw dairy products. Or look up notmilk.com. That stuff is nasty. It doesn't do any good for osteoporosis. The nations who consume the highest volume of pasteurized dairy products have the highest incidence of osteoporosis. And also Anna Schwartz of King Gustav Institute showed those who consume pasteurized dairy products, they found 85% of all arthritic rheumatism is caused by the consumption of pasteurized dairy product. Allergic response because the body can't digest anything other than raw dairy products, or at least if you're taking the enzymatic supplementation, that lactase that helps in the digestion. But minimize it. They're very hard on your system. And get into whole food nutrition. That way, those enzymes will work even better. 95% of the eating that goes outside of people's home are actually, according to Mercola.com, is of processed food nature. They're very hard to digest, even with best of enzymatic supplementation. Toxemia will eventually get you. Enzymes, blue-green algae, probiotics, they're great protection in this toxic environment, but you got to also start using the intelligence that you are developing because of the blue-green algae. Start reading books, start making experimental improvements in your life. Eat whole foods, eat more salads, eat more greens. Exercise, drink more water, laugh more, be silly. Be spontaneously combustible in laughter. Be alive. Take risks. And have fun. Give you an example in salesmanship. I went to one of the first biggest convention in New York City. For 3 days, nothing is happening. We're not making a single sale. And my sprouts are going bad. I keep washing it and everything. Well, you know what? What did I do? I was then about 110 pounds in weight. I was like, the poster child for anorexia. I got on the table at my booth and I did dancing. And told all kind of stupid jokes that I didn't even know what I was talking about. Do you realize by the end of the day, we sold out? That's called taking risks. People want energy no matter how crazy it is. So be ready for a miracle by just silence that doubting qualities, that judgmental part of yourself. You are perfect. You are divine, and quiet that mind. And when it refuses to be quiet, give it a spanking. Say, it's called tapping. Google up the word tapping, how to shut off your mind. When you got doubts about approaching somebody, just tap and say, "Hi, beautiful. I'm here for you. I am here delivering the message." You have tools that are just totally unbelievable. Try experimenting also with these tools in ways that are innovative. It might not be the tastiest. I've had before this lecture something to enhance my presentation. I took Omega Gold sublingual. I chewed it up. I'll tell you, it spark-plugged my brains. It added a little more juice, a little more guts, a little more of whatever. I recall the first time I tried that was when we introduced the product. I was landed in Toronto, New York. I hadn't slept all night due to transportation difficulties. And I was giving a lecture 2 hours after arrival. I didn't realize it was not a lecture, it was a workshop. So I was to be up front for close to 10 hours. Not only did I took that sublingual blue-green algae complex Omega Gold and chewed it up, and I kept every couple hours. Not only did I last through 10 hours, nobody left. There was well over 100 people in the audience, but then I did a TV show, and I did 2 more consultations after that. Hydration and Omega Gold, but sublingual delivery. Remember, the quickest way to enter your brain and to enhance your energy is through sublingual. That's why you should chew your food until it's liquid and there is no more taste. That's what you're feeding your brain. So it's true with the blue-green algae. But of course, remember, your mouth might be off color. So do it in the privacy of your home. It's not for public, unless it's Halloween. Then, of course, I'm drinking green blood tonight. Have fun. Remember, be yourself. You have a great gift to give to humanity. Stop judging yourself. Love yourself unconditionally. Pray, meditate, consume these products, drink this liquid, and you will be a blessing to yourself, the world. Unconditional love for self will extend to everyone that comes into your life. So go for it. You got it all. God bless you.